What is a map? A map is a drawing of a place as it looks like from above. It is flat and it is smaller than the place it shows. A map can help you find where you are and where you want to go. Mapping your backyard from the ground. From your backyard, you see everything in front of you straight on. You have to look up to see your roof and the tops of the trees. You can't see what's in front of your house. From higher up. From higher up, you look down on things. You can see the tops of the trees and the things in your yard and in the yards of other houses in your neighborhood. Finding places on the map. A map can help you get where you want to go. A map tells you how to read it by showing you a compass, a key, and a scale. A compass helps you travel in the right direction. It tells you where north, south, east, and west are on your map. Sometimes it only shows where north is. A map key helps you understand the symbols used by the map maker to show things like houses, play areas, and schools on the map. A scale tells you about distance on a map. Look at the scale on the map at the right. 1 inch is the same as traveling 100 yards. From a bird's eye view. If you were a bird flying directly overhead, you would only see the tops of things. You wouldn't see the walls, tree trunks, tires, or feet. On a map, it looks at places from a bird's eye view, but it uses drawings called symbols to show things that don't move, such as houses. This is my house. These are the roads. These are the neighbor houses. And here's the map. There's the house. Tells to brown on the map key. Blue building. These are stores. This pink one is a school. This green one is a library. This green is play areas like a park. This is water. Making the round earth flat. From your backyard, Earth probably looks flat. If you could travel into space like an astronaut, you would see that Earth is a giant ball with blue oceans, greenish-brown land, and white clouds. Even in space, you could only see the part of Earth facing you. To see the whole Earth at one time, you need a map. Maps take the round Earth and make it flat, so you can see all of it at one time. This is the Earth in space. From space, you can see that the Earth is round with oceans, land, and clouds, but you can see only half the Earth at one time. Earth is a globe. A globe is a tiny model of Earth that you can put on a stand or hold in your hand. You have to turn it to see the other side. You still can't see the whole Earth at one time. The equator is an imaginary line around the Earth's middle. Map makers show it as a solid or dashed line on globes or maps. Earth on paper. If you could peel a globe like an orange, you would make Earth flat, but there would be spaces between the pieces. Map makers stretch the land and the water at the top and the bottom to fill in the spaces. This is how a map lets you see the whole world at once. What this atlas will teach you. You hold the world in your hands as you look through the pages of this atlas. You will find a physical and political map of each continent. Here's what you'll learn about each one. The land regions. You will find out what kinds of land cover a continent. Does it have mountains and deserts? If so, where are they? Water. You will learn about a continent's chief lakes, rivers, and waterfalls. You'll see that some continents have more water than others. Climate. Climate is the weather of a place over many years. Some continents are colder and wetter, or hotter and drier than others. Plants. You'll discover kinds of plants grow on a particular continent. Animals. Continents each have certain kinds of animals. Did you know that tigers live in the wild only in Asia? So these are mountains in Asia. This is the Eiffel Tower in France. This is a desert in North America. This is a camel in India. The political world. On the political maps, you'll learn about countries. You'll learn about the countries that make up a continent. Maps show countries' names and types of this, like United States. Cities. You'll find out which cities are most important on a continent. The map key will tell you which cities are the country capitals. People. You will learn where groups of people on a continent come from, where they live, what they do, how they have fun, and more. Languages. Many languages are spoken on most continents. Here you'll find out which languages most people speak. Products. This section will tell you which goods produced on a continent are most important to the people living there. This is the coral reef in the Pacific Ocean. This is Vancouver, Canada. These are grapes from the Mediterranean region. This is the Eurostar train in Europe. Here's some schoolgirls in Vietnam. Physical world. A physical map uses symbols to show where mountains, deserts, forests, and other features of the land are. The map key tells us what the symbols mean. So this is a picture. This is what mountains look like. Desert, coniferous forest, deciduous forest, rainforest, grasslands, wetland, tundra, and the ice cap. So this is North America. These are the Rocky Mountains. This is the Mississippi River, the Appalachian Mountains. These are the Great Lakes. This is Greenland. This is the Atlantic Ocean. This is the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean Sea. This is South America. These are the Andes Mountains. This is the Amazon River. Look how big that is. It's a wide river. This is Antarctica. It's all cold. This is the Arctic Ocean. This is Europe. These are the Ural Mountains. This is the Europe-Asia boundary. This is the Mediterranean Sea. These are the Alps. This is the Sahara Desert. This is Africa. This is the Nile River. This is Australia. This is the Great Dividing Range. This is the Indian Ocean. This is the Pacific Ocean. This is the Himalayan Mountains. This is the Gobi Desert and the Yangtze River. If I said that right. Yeah. The physical world close-up. The Earth's surface is made up of land and water. The biggest land masses are called continents. All 7 of them are named on this map. Islands are smaller pieces of land that are surrounded by water. Greenland is the largest island. Land that is almost entirely surrounded by water is called a peninsula. Europe has lots of them. Oceans are the largest bodies of water. Can you find all 4 oceans? Lakes are bodies of water surrounded by land, like the Great Lakes in North America. A large stream of water that flows into a lake or an ocean is called a river. The Nile is the Earth's longest river. These are Earth's main physical features, but continents also have mountains, deserts, forests, and many other kinds of physical features. The map symbols below show the features that will appear on the physical maps in this atlas. Each symbol is followed by a brief description that explains its meaning. There is also a photograph so you can see what each feature looks like in the real world. Each continent has different kinds of features, so each physical map will have its own map key. Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, there's Greenland, the island. This continent is called North America. This continent is called South America. Below, we have the coniferous forest, which is a forest with trees that have seed cones and often needle-like leaves, like Christmas trees. Desert, very dry land that can be hot or cold and sandy or rocky. And you have mountains, land that rises at least 1,000 feet above the surrounding land. And here we have Europe, we have Asia, we have Africa, we have Australia, and then 2 other oceans, the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean. Oh, and there's Antarctica. Ice caps, a permanent sheet of ice, thick ice that covers land, such as Antarctica. Tundra, a cold region with low plants that grow only during the warm months. Wetland, land such as a marsh or swamp that is mostly covered with water. A grassland, a grass-covered area with too little rain for many trees to grow. A rainforest, forest with trees that keep their leaves all year and need lots of rain. And then we have, this is a deciduous forest, forest with trees that lose leaves in the fall and grow new ones in the spring. The political world. Political maps show places where people live. This one names the countries of the world. Colors make it easy to see the size and shape of each country. North America. North America is shaped like a triangle. It is wide in the north. In the south, it becomes a strip of land so narrow that a marathon runner could cross it in 2 hours. Ships make the trip on the Panama Canal. The warm parts in the Caribbean Sea are part of North America. So is icy Greenland in the north. The 7 countries between Mexico and South America make up a region commonly called Central America. It connects the rest of North America and South America. Hey, I'm from the Crow tribe in Montana. This beautiful scene is the Grand Canyon, located in the state of Arizona. The mighty Colorado River runs through the canyon. Look for the river on the map when you turn the page. North America. Land regions, the Rocky Mountains run along the west side of North America through Mexico. In Mexico, the mountains are called the Sierra Madre Oriental. Lower mountains are called Appalachians are in the east. Grassy plains lie in between the 2 mountain chains. North America is famous for its deciduous forests. Leaves turn fiery colors each fall. Water. Together, the Mississippi and Missouri make up the longest river. The Great Lakes are the world's largest group of freshwater lakes. Climate. The far north is icy cold. Temperatures get warmer as you move south. Much of Central America is hot and wet. Plants. North America has 2 large forests where there's plenty of rain. Grasslands cover drier areas. Animals. There's a big variety of animals, everything from bears, moose, and wolves to monkeys and colorful parrots. Dragon-like iguanas live in the rainforests of Mexico and Central America. This harmless lizard can grow as long as a man's leg. Deserts are found in the southwestern part of North America. The large rock formation on the right is called the Mitten. Can you guess why? Palm trees grow along sandy beaches on islands in the Caribbean Sea. In this part of North America, the weather is warm year-round. A white-tailed deer nuzzles her babies in a meadow near the Great Lakes. Deer live in almost every country on the continent. Map key. Mountain, desert, coniferous forest, deciduous forest, rainforest, grassland, wetland, tundra, ice cap. This is the view from a plane that shows Greenland has high mountains and lots of snow and ice. North America, the people. Countries: Canada, the United States, Mexico, and the countries of Central America and the West Indies make up North America. Cities: Mexico City is the biggest city in North America. Next in size are New York City and Los Angeles. Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic is the largest city in the West Indies. People: ancestors of most people in North America came from Europe. Many other people trace their roots to Africa and Asia. Native Americans live throughout the continent. Languages: English and Spanish are the main languages. A large number of people in Canada and Haiti speak French. There are also many Native American languages. Products: North America's chief products include cars, machinery, petroleum, natural gas, silver, wheat, corn, beef, and forest products. This is Mexico City. More people live here than in any other city in North America. These red berries hold coffee beans. Many farmers in Guatemala make a living growing coffee. This pyramid at Chichen Itza in Mexico was built long ago by the Maya people. This farmer is harvesting wheat on a big farm in Canada. Canada and the United States grow much of the world's wheat. Skiing and ski jumping are popular sports in the Rocky Mountains. These children from the country called Trinidad and Tobago in the West Indies are dressed up to celebrate a festival called Carnival. Ships travel across the Panama on the Panama Canal. It is a shortcut between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Canada. Provinces. Canada is divided into 10 provinces and 3 territories. Nunavut is a brand new homeland for Eskimos, the largest number of people in Ontario and Quebec. Cities. Ottawa is Canada's capital. Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver are among its largest cities and ports. People. Canada has fewer people than the state of California. Most Canadians live within 100 miles of the country's southern border. The territories have a lot of land, but very few people. Languages. Canada's street signs are often in 2 languages. That's because English and French are the chief languages. Most French-speaking Canadians live in Quebec. Products. Canada's chief products include cars, forest products, petroleum, natural gas, aluminum, nickel, iron ore, beef, and wheat. During Canada's long, cold winters, ice hockey is a popular sport. The Ice Hockey Hall of Fame is in Toronto, Ontario. Banff in Alberta is one of several national parks in the Rocky Mountains of Western Canada. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police often perform their famous musical ride in Ottawa. The CN Tower rises high above Toronto's skyline. The city is a busy port on Lake Ontario. Polar bears bring tourists to Churchill, Manitoba, a town on the Hudson Bay. An Inuit boy enjoys a sled ride in Nunavut, a territory created as a homeland for his people. So here's the province of Quebec, Newfoundland, the island of in Labrador, Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia, Yukon, Northwest Territories, Nunavut, South America. Visit South America and you will see many wonderful things. It has the world's biggest rainforest and one of the driest deserts. It has emerald mines, mysterious ruins, and crowded modern cities with glass and steel skyscrapers. In the mountains, camel-like animals called llamas are trained to carry goods. On the grasslands, cowboys called guanchos round up cattle. You might be surprised to learn that some familiar foods, such as potatoes and tomatoes, are native to South America. Imenea, greetings. In Quechua, my native language, I live in Peru. Do you like my market day outfit? Behind me is Machu Picchu, an ancient Inca city located high in the Andes Mountains of my country. South America, the land. Land regions, snow-capped mountains called the Andes, run along the west coast. Here they are. Rainforests and grasslands cover much of the rest of the continent. The continent's driest desert lies between the Andes and the Pacific Ocean. It's right here. Water. The Amazon River carries more water than any river in the world. More than 1,000 streams and rivers flow into it. Lake Titicaca in the Andes is the continent's largest lake. It's right there. Climate. Much of South America is warm all year. The coldest places are in the Andes and at the continent's southern tip. Each year, about 80 inches of rain falls in the rainforests. Plants. The Amazon rainforest has more kinds of plants than any other place in the world. grasslands feed large herds of cattle and sheep. Animals: colorful macaws, noisy howler monkeys, and giant snakes live in the rainforest. Sure-footed llamas, huge birds called condors, and guinea pigs live in the Andes. The flightless rhea, which looks like an ostrich, roams the wide southern grassland. Imagine living in a place where birds are as big and colorful as these macaws. They live in the rainforest. Cold outside and hot inside. Snow-covered volcanoes are scattered throughout the Andes. The world's largest lilies grow in the Amazon River. They are big enough to hold a kid. Llamas are camel-like animals that live in the Andes. The Atacama in the northern Chile is one of the world's driest deserts. South America, the people, countries. South America has just 12 countries. French Guinea is not really a country because it belongs to France. All but 2 of these countries border an ocean. Can you find these 2 countries on the map? Looks like it's Bolivia, doesn't have an ocean, and Paraguay doesn't have an ocean. Cities. Most of the largest cities are near the oceans. Sao Paulo in Brazil is South America's biggest city. Bolivia has 2 capital cities, La Paz and Sucre. People. The native people came from the north long ago. Colonists came from Europe, especially from Spain and Portugal. They brought African slaves to work in the fields. Most people in South America are descendants of these 3 groups. Languages. Spanish and Portuguese are the continent's chief languages. Indians speak Quechua and other native languages. Products. South America's chief products include bananas, cattle, coffee, copper, emeralds, oranges, and sugar. This man plays his guitar to entertain people on the streets of Buenos Aires in Argentina. Guitar music is popular in South America. Soccer is the most popular sport in South America. This player from Brazil is focused on scoring a goal. These unpolished stones are emeralds. Colombia is the top producer of these gems. This statue is carved from stone during the Tiwanaku civilization. These ancient peoples lived near Lake Titicaca in Bolivia. Many religious festivals take place all over South America. Here, a girl is dancing as she celebrates a Catholic fiesta. This statue overlooks the city of Rio de Janeiro, one of Brazil's chief ports. So you have Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, Brazil, Paraguay, Bolivia, Chile, it's long and thin right here, Argentina, Peru, Ecuador, and those are the countries in South America. Europe. Travel through the countryside in Europe, and you might think you've wandered into the pages of a storybook. You'll see castles, cuckoo clocks, and cobblestone streets. But Europe is also one of the most modern continents. You can ride one of the world's fastest trains through a tunnel beneath the English Channel, watch sports cars being made in Italy, and visit famous museums in Paris. On a map, Europe may look like it's part of Asia, but it's considered to be a separate continent. Europe is right here. Sveiki, I'm from Latvia, a country in the Baltic Sea. I am wearing a costume for a dance. This is the Louvre in Paris, France. It is one of the most famous museums in the world and home of the Mona Lisa. Europe, the land regions. Europe's most obvious feature is its coastline, cut with bays and peninsulas of every size. The Alps are high mountains that form a chain across much of southern Europe. Water. Several large rivers flow across Europe. Some of the most important include the Danube, Rhine, Volga, and Rhone. Climate. Warm winds from the Atlantic Ocean help give most of Europe a mild climate. This climate, plus plenty of rain, makes much for Europe good for farming. Plants. Europe's largest forests are in the north. Cork and olive trees grow along the Mediterranean Sea. Animals. Reindeer are common in the far north. Many kinds of goat-like animals live in the Alps. Robins, nightingales, and sparrows are among Europe's native birds. European rabbits live all over the continent. This kind of wild goat is called an ibex. It is one of the many kinds of hoofed animals that lived in the Alps and other mountainous parts of the continent. Much of Europe is farmland. Fields of lavender grow in the mild climate east of the Rhone. Perfume is made from these flowers. People often try to climb the Matterhorn. It's one of the largest peaks in the Alps. This is Iceland up here. We have Ireland, Great Britain, the Iberian Peninsula, Pyrenees Mountains, the Northern European Plain. This is Scandinavia, the Norwegian Sea, the North Sea, the Baltic Sea, Carpathian Mountains, the Danube River, the Black Sea, the Balkan Mountains. The Matterhorn is right here on the Alps. This is the Rhone River. Mount Vesuvius is here. This is Sicily, Crete, Cyprus. Europe has many sandy beaches on the Mediterranean Sea. The most famous are along the coasts of Italy and France. Europe. The people. Countries. There are 46 countries in Europe, even though most of Russia is in Asia. The country is usually counted as being a part of Europe. There are 5 island countries: Iceland, the United Kingdom, Ireland, Malta, and Cyprus. Cities. Most cities in Europe are within a few hundred miles of the sea. London, in the United Kingdom, is Europe's largest city. People. There are many different ethnic groups in Europe, usually one main group for each country. Most people live in cities than on farms. Languages. About 50 languages are spoken in Europe, including English, French, German, and Russian. Many Europeans speak more than one language. Products. Europe's chief products include iron, coal, petroleum, cars, machinery, wheat, fruit, and olives. Bagpipe music is popular in Scotland, which was once an independent country. Today, Scotland is part of the United Kingdom. The euro is currently the official money in Greece and 16 other members of the European Union. Inspectors examine cheese at a market in the Netherlands. Europe is famous for its cheeses. St. Basil's is a famous Russian Orthodox church. It is in Moscow, Russia's capital city. The Colosseum lights up as the sun begins to set in Rome, Italy. This amphitheater was built by the Roman Empire almost 2,000 years ago. These girls are dressed for a festival in Spain. Such celebrations keep folk traditions alive. Asia. Asia is the Earth's largest continent. Mount Everest, the world's highest mountain, is here. Asia also has some of the world's longest rivers, biggest deserts, and thickest forests. The Dead Sea is the lowest place on the continent. It is called dead because its water is too salty for fish and other animals to live in. More people live in Asia than anywhere else. The world's very first cities were built along river valleys in Asia long, long ago. Namaste. I'm from India. My country is home to the Taj Mahal, a famous tomb built hundreds of years ago. The bright lights and colorful signs behind me are in the lively city of Tokyo, Japan. Tokyo is the most populous city in the world. Asia, the land. Land regions. Much of Asia is a rolling plain covered by grasslands, forests, and tundra. The Himalaya and other high mountains stretch across the south. Deserts cover much of the southwestern and central Asia. Water. Asia has huge rivers and lakes. The Yangtze is the longest river. The Caspian Sea, partly in Europe, is the world's largest saltwater lake. Lake Baikal is the world's deepest lake. Climate. Northern Asia has long icy winters and short cool summers. Much of the southern Asia is warm year-round with heavy summer rains. Plants. Areas of coniferous forests called taiga stretch across the north. The central grasslands are known as the steppes. Rainforests grow in the southeast. Animals. Tigers, giant pandas, and cobras live in the wild only in Asia. Two boys direct a camel taxi in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Although they are desert animals, camels are used for transportation in many parts of India. A climber stands at the top of a peak in the Himalaya. Mount Everest rises in front of him. The Three Gorges Dam helps control flooding along the Yangtze River in China. Boys play in a rainforest in Indonesia. These forests grow throughout the Southeast Asia, where winds called monsoons bring lots of rain. A herder leads his reindeer past the taiga, a kind of coniferous forest. Forests like this are found throughout northern Asia. Giant pandas live only in leafy bamboo forests that grow on mountains in southwestern China. Asia. Countries. Asia has 46 countries. China is the largest country, with boundaries entirely in Asia. Russia takes up the most area, but is counted as part of Europe. Indonesia is Asia's largest island country. Cities. Much of Asia is too high, too dry, or too cold for people to live in. Most cities are near the coast or along busy rivers. Tokyo in Japan is the largest city. People. Asia has more people than any other continent. Each ethnic group has its own language, customs, and appearance. Most people work as farmers or fishermen. Languages. So many languages are spoken in Asia that even neighbors can have trouble understanding each other. India, for example, has 16 official languages. Products. Asia's chief products include rice, wheat, petroleum, cotton, rubber, tea, motor vehicles, and computers. These towers are the Petronas Towers in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. They are the tallest twin buildings in the world. This young boy works in a spice market. In India, people mix lots of spices together to make a strong flavor called curry. This boy in Shanghai draws symbols used in writing the Chinese language. Each symbol stands for a word or idea. This masked dancer is from Bali. Bali is one of more than 3,000 islands that make up the country of Indonesia. Water buffalo, like this one in Vietnam, are used for pulling plows and rice fields. Rice is Asia's most important food crop. This pipeline carries oil from Saudi Arabia to tanker ships in the Persian Gulf. Africa. Elephants lumber across the grasslands. Gorillas groom each other in a mountain forest. Hippopotamuses swim in a river. Amazing animals are just part of what Africa has to offer. You can also visit a busy modern city, such as Nairobi in Kenya, see how diamonds are mined in South Africa, shop in colorful outdoor markets, take a sailboat ride past temples on the Nile, and climb some of the world's highest sand dunes in the Earth's biggest hot desert, the Sahara. Yambo. Beautiful beadwork is part of this Maasai girl's traditional dress. I live in Kenya, where the elephants like these roam free. In the distance stands Kilimanjaro, the highest peak in Africa. You can find it on a map in the next page. There it is. Land regions. Most of Africa is a high, flat plateau. There are few mountains. The Sahara and the Kalahari are among its largest deserts. Rainforests grow along the equator. Grasslands cover most of the rest of the continent. Water. The Nile and the Congo are Africa's longest rivers. Most of Africa's largest lakes are in the Great Rift Valley. Climate. The equator crosses Africa's middle, so many places on the continent are hot. It is always wet in the rainforest. Much of the rest of Africa has wet and dry seasons. Plants. Thorny trees called acacias provide food and shade for grassland animals. Date palms grow around desert waterholes. Mahogany is one of the many kinds of rainforest trees. Animals. Some of Africa's most familiar animals are shown here. There are also lions and many kinds of antelopes. Lemurs live on Madagascar, Africa's largest island. Giraffes are the world's tallest animal. They can tower above trees that grow on grasslands. Victoria Falls on the Zambezi River is one of Africa's wonders. Its African name means smoke like thunder. Giant sand dunes in the Saharas tower above this jeep. This huge desert covers most of northern Africa. Chimpanzees live in Africa's rainforests. As many as 50 chimps may live in a single group. Zebras live on the grasslands called savannas near the equator. Some zebras also live in the mountainous regions, and others live in southern Africa. No two zebras have exactly the same pattern of stripes. Hot springs boil on the shores of a lake in the Great Rift Valley. This is actually a series of valleys that run through the eastern part of the continent. So this is Kilimanjaro, which was pointed out in this page. That's this mountain right here, the highest one in Africa. So you can see right here you have the Sahara. Here's the Nile River by where Egypt is. Runs through Egypt. We have the Niger River, the Congo River. You can see the mountains, the Rift Valley. Here's the island of Madagascar. And right here is where the Victoria Falls are. Africa, the people, countries. Most of Africa's 53 countries were ruled by European countries from the late 1800s to the 1960s. Sudan has the most land. Nigeria has the most people. Cities. Cairo and Lagos are Africa's biggest cities. Both are on large rivers near the coast. Most people live in villages and on farms than in the city. People in northern Africa's largest countries are mostly Arabs. Most black Africans live south of the Sahara in hundreds of different ethnic groups. Most Europeans live in South Africa. Languages. Arabic is spoken in the north. Native languages are spoken south of the Sahara. English, French, and Portuguese are the main European languages. Products. Africa is the leading producer of cocoa beans, gold, diamonds, and petroleum. These boys are picking dates. Algeria is a leading producer of its fruit. These students in Kenya study many of the same subjects you do. Their classes are taught in English. Small sailboats called feluccas carry goods to trade along the Nile. The river is the longest in Africa. The Sphinx and the pyramid behind it were built by people who lived in Egypt thousands of years ago. These women in Nigeria are dressed to go to market. Most markets in Africa are outdoors. Harare is Zimbabwe's capital. It is one of the many modern cities in Africa. Australia. Australia is a most unusual place. It is Earth's smallest and flattest continent, and one of the driest too. It has many large deserts. Aussies, as Australians like to call themselves, nickname their continent the land down under. That's because the entire continent lies south of or under the equator. Most Australians live in cities along the coast, but Australia also has huge cattle and sheep ranches. Many ranch children live far from school. They get their lessons by mail or from the internet or the radio. Their doctors even visit by airplane. Awa, I'm an Aborigine, one of Australia's native people. My face is painted for a special ceremony in the outback. Behind me is the Great Barrier Reef. It is the world's largest coral reef system and home to many sea creatures. Australia. Land regions. The Great Dividing Range stretches along the east coast into Tasmania. Most of the rest of Australia is a plateau covered by grasslands and deserts. Water. The Darling, Australia's longest river, is dry during part of the year. So is Lake Erie, the continent's largest lake. Water lies underground in the Great Artesian Basin. Climate. Most of the continent is very dry. Winds called monsoons bring heavy seasonal rains to the northern coast. Southern Australia can be cold in winter, but much of the continent is warm year-round. Plants. Eucalyptuses or gum trees and acacias are the most common kinds of plants. They grow throughout Australia. Animals. Australia has many unusual mammals. Koalas and kangaroos raise their young in pouches on their bellies. The platypus is a mammal that has a bill like a duck's. Its babies hatch from eggs. Koalas live in eucalyptus forests. At one time, koalas almost became extinct. Now they're protected by strict laws. The cackling sound of a kookaburra is a familiar forest sound. Limestone towers rise above a desert in Western Australia. Desert covers much of the continent. A kangaroo warning sign sits in the road leading to Ayers Rock, an ancient rock formation located in Australia's Western Plateau. To the Aborigines, it's known as Uluru. The Three Sisters Rock Formation is a stunning sight in the Blue Mountains of Australia. These mountains are part of the Great Dividing Range. Moss covers trees and logs in a forest in Tasmania. This island has a much wetter climate than the mainland of Australia. Australia is the only continent that is also a country. It is divided into 6 states, including Tasmania, and 2 territories. Cities. All the chief cities are near the coast, even the capital, Canberra. Sydney has the most people, followed by Melbourne, Brisbane, and Perth. People. Most Australians are descendants of the settlers from the United Kingdom and Ireland. Aborigines came to Australia from Asia some 40,000 years ago. Languages. English is the main language of Australia. Aborigines speak some 250 different languages. Products. Australia's chief products include wool, beef, wheat, fruits, bauxite, coal, uranium, and diamonds. Most manufactured goods are imported. This Aborigine is playing a wooden pipe called a didgeridoo. Many of Australia's native people live in the Northern Territory. That's this one right here. Cafes like this one can be hundreds of miles apart in the outback. Few people live in this dry central region. A monorail zips people around in Sydney. The city is a busy port and the capital of the state of South Wales. New South Wales is right there, and that's where Sydney is. Surfing is a popular sport in Australia. There is a city near Brisbane named Surfers Paradise. Now, Brisbane would be right here. The world's largest cultured pearls are grown in oyster beds along Australia's northern coast. Australia has huge cattle farms called stations. Some of the largest are in Western Australia. Antarctica. Antarctica takes first place as the coldest continent. It is the land around the South Pole. An ice cap 2 miles thick in places cover most of the land. Temperatures rarely get above freezing. It is also the only continent that has no countries. It has research stations, but no cities. The only people are scientists, explorers, and tourists. Everyone stays for a while, then goes home. The largest land animals that live here year-round are a few kind of insects. Chances are you'll see more penguins than people if you visit Antarctica. Like the whale behind them, these penguins depend on the ocean for food. They come ashore to have their babies. Antarctica. Land regions. The Trans-Antarctic Mountains divide the continent into 2 parts. East Antarctica, where the South Pole is located, is mostly a high, flat, icy area. West Antarctica is a mountainous Vinson Massif is the highest peak. Water. Most of Earth's fresh water is frozen in Antarctica's ice cap. The ice breaks off when it meets the sea. These huge floating chunks of ice in the ocean are called icebergs. Climate. Antarctica is windy and dry. It gets very little snow. Most of the snow that falls turns to ice. The ice cap has built up over millions of years. Plants. Billions of tiny plants live in the surrounding oceans. Mosses and lichens grow on the land. Animals. Penguins and other seabirds nest on the coast. Whales, seals, and tiny shrimp-like animals called krill live in the oceans. Elephant seals come ashore along the rocky Antarctic peninsula during the summer. Jellyfish grow very large under the sea ice around the continent. Here, they have very few enemies, so they live a long time. Few people have ever climbed Antarctica's mountains. This one is called the Razor. It is near the coast and the Queen Maud Land. The dry valleys are bare, rocky places with ice-covered lakes. The tents belong to scientists who say the region looks like Mars. This strong-sided ship is an icebreaker. It cuts a path through the ice in the Ross Sea. It's cutting. So here's the Trans-Antarctic Mountains. This is the Wilkes Land. This is the Shackleton Ice Shelf, Queen Maud Land, and Derby Land. The Antarctic Peninsula, where the elephant seals are. The Marble Bird Land. There's more mountains. This right here is the Vinson Massif. This is the highest elevation in Antarctica. World at a glance. Land, the continents, largest to smallest. Number 1, Asia. Number 2, Africa. 3, North America. 4, South America. 5, Antarctica. 6, Europe. 7, Australia. Water, the oceans, largest to smallest. Number 1, the Pacific Ocean. Number 2, Atlantic Ocean. Number 3, Indian Ocean. Number 4, Arctic Ocean. People, almost 7 billion people live on Earth, enough to fill a string of school buses that would circle the equator almost 24 times. More than half the world's people live in Asia. 5 largest countries by number of people. Number 1, China. Number 2, India. Number 3, United States. Number 4, Indonesia. Number 5, Brazil. 5 largest cities by number of people. Number 1, Tokyo, Japan. Number 2, Delhi, India. Number 3, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Number 4, Bombay, India. Number 5, Mexico City, Mexico. Highest, longest, largest. The highest mountain on a continent is Mount Everest in Asia. Right there. Number 2, the largest island is right here, Greenland. Number 3, the largest ocean is the Pacific Ocean. The longest river is the, number 4, the Nile River in Africa. Number 5, the largest freshwater lake is right here. It's Lake Superior in North America. Number 6, the largest saltwater lake right here is the Caspian Sea in Europe. Number 7, the largest hot desert is the Sahara in Africa. Number 8, the largest cold desert is Antarctica. The end.